So the current van project is to replace this, which I put in 6 years ago, and it's been quite a trooper. It's a little solar charge controller, so you have to plug this in between the solar panel and the battery to make sure that there's a good, healthy, consistent charge. I must point out, this is not, I'm not an expert here. When I installed this, I was very much an amateur, and I think I got this for about £12 off eBay. And yeah, it's done quite well. But it just stopped working on a trip recently, last week. So the screen was off and it was kind of buzzing, and I had a look at the solar panels and stuff, and it just seems like this is the only realistically this is what's broken. I actually took it apart and just to see if there's any like obvious, I don't know, scorch marks or signs of shorting or anything like that, and I don't see anything at all. Not that I expected I would, but I don't see what else could be broken. So yeah, I've got cleverly I've propped my phone up against the packaging of the new one that I've bought. So let's switch that around. Very clever, very clever. Is that gonna work? So I've got the Renogy one, which I used to have a narrowboat, and this is like the lower capacity version of what I had, which worked pretty well. I kind of like this a lot less in many ways because it's bigger and it does the same job, but it's a lot bigger. It does have a higher amp capacity than the old one, which should be useful. I've got a whole wiring diagram and plan of how I'm going to expand the wiring in the van, but we'll start with just getting it working in the first place. So yeah, this one. This is 30 amp rather than the old 20 amp one. It's still fairly low, but I don't have any big plans for like massive solar array or whatever. It's not a huge fan, so I'm going to try and put this in today. It's important for me to have a trickle of power from the solar because I just like to have everything switched on all the time. Well, not everything, but I like to have the Wi-Fi running and everything, and just not have to think about the state of everything. Oh yeah, this also, the new one doesn't have USB ports in it, which I found that really useful in the old one, being able to just plug directly into it. But it does have a load output, which I believe means that when the sun is shining, when it's getting a voltage, like not during the night, it will power what's connected to this. So that's, I do have ideas of how that could be useful. For example, you could connect a USB output to that, so that, you know, the little Wi-Fi device I've got could be charging up during the daytime and draining during the nighttime. Is that a good idea? I don't know if that's a good thing, because my Wi-Fi thing has batteries in it. Are you meant to be constantly letting it discharge slightly and recharge? I think you are. Anyway, not that it matters a huge amount, but okay, let's try and do this. So I have a policy basically of making as little effort as possible in everything that I do. And according to that policy, I've literally just made this little paper template by folding it over the edges of the mounting bracket here, and then drawing on a little dot where the screws will ultimately go, which is in the smaller part of the mounting hole things, smaller part. And that just means, I got a notification. That just means I can offer this up to the wall here where it's going to go, and drill the screws in over the holes. I should tape this actually. If I'd prepared properly, I would have got some tape. Just a second, please. Sorry about that. Very rude. Okay. I'm going to tape it in place, but I'll first just check that it's definitely going to fit. Yeah, that's great. So this is the top side, the top edge. Yeah, one of my ideas is to install a little fan on the load. God, that's terrible. That's no good at all. Good. That one is... Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Amazing. Yeah, so the load output of the charge controller could actually be connected to a little fan in this vent, like a really tiny silent one. So I need to use the screws themselves. It's getting these screws in at exactly the right depth for the mounting bracket thing to slide onto it. Okay, that's very secure now, very secure. So now for the fun bit, which I have been donated. Someone's donated to me a screwdriver. Exactly for this purpose, which is the wiring. So I have two cables coming from the solar array, positive and negative, and two cables going to the battery. Oh, that's interesting. These ports are much bigger than expected. The screws for these porthole things are huge. Let's see, I've got this like multi screwdriver tool. It's not mine. Thanks, Naeem. Very handy. Will this one fit? Gosh, it's huge. I'm just seeing if this will fit, if this will turn the screw. Okay, it does. So, fortunately, this tiny crossheady one does work. So I think this is the positive. I am going to wire this up as positive. And I'll tighten that up once we know for sure that that's working. I am just one of those people that thinks, well, if it doesn't blow up, I guess it's working then. How did I tie this up? And, well, I was going to say, you know, everything's worked so far, which I guess isn't strictly true because I'm currently wiring up a replacement for a broken charge controller. That is correct. Okay. I did think that the messy ended wire was the positive. I thought I'd done it that way. So I've wired up the solar positive and negative now, which either I've put the correct terminals in, or at this point it doesn't matter which is which. You know, I'm not sure, but it is working because we have a display, which is further than we got with the last device, which just buzzed, made a buzzing noise and did nothing else. I'm now going to plug in the battery connectors. Yes, also I would normally have crimped the ends of these, but because it was only going to be a couple of days until I installed this, I didn't bother doing it yet. And I knew that I wouldn't be driving the van either, so these wires aren't going to be moving around and potentially shorting wires. Okay. The wrong colour. I don't know if you can see that. Wrong colour for the negative. It's brown. I'm really excited to come back to this and completely rewire this whole system. I've got big plans for it. Okay. So we have life. I'm going to mount it. Okay. And so you find me having just found that, okay, this charge controller doesn't work either. So I've been troubleshooting that. I've had the multimeter out. I realised that at least one of the connections from the battery wasn't working, and traced it down to the positive red wire, which I'm pretty proud of my sleuthing ability there. I may not be trained, but I have some sense of logic. I really must get better at angling my camera, but my camera is just a phone, so bear with me. So I'm now just plugging the battery back in. It's a bit squished, bear with. Let me open that up a bit more. I don't know if it's been caught on camera, but I think I've been sticking my tongue out while I screw and unscrew things. Also, I don't know if this is just standard for doing electrical work, but it's so incredibly awkward to work in this space. It's, okay. We now have voltage coming from the solar to the battery, which is showing that it's 3/4-ish full. So I think it's very likely that the original charge controller does work still, and that was the problem. When I got to the red live connector to the battery lug, it has this kind of connector, a ring connector, an O connector, and when I installed it 6 years ago, my ingenious way of attaching the connector was to put the wire in and then put tape around it. I must have not had a crimp tool. So it wasn't crimped on at all, which is not safe. It's really not safe because if it's a loose connection, you can get sparks between, between the wire and the connector, because they're very close and the current can kind of jump, and it can create sparks. It can create fire. It's right next to a battery. If that battery'd set on fire, it's insane. So So I've added to the to-do list now, go through all of the battery connectors that I did and recrimp them. I'm going to order a really, like a nice hefty crimp tool, because I have so many little